Hello and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache from NacheSnow.com. And who do I have on with me co-hosting? Lache Umba from LacheUmba.com. Welcome, Lache.
Hello, Nache. Thank you for having me, and hello to all of my fans.
And so, can't wait to chit chat with you guys today about physical wellness. Before I do, a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, anything that we mention on this episode, you can find over at the show notes, NacheSnow.com/175. Also, my new Milanote class is out. Milanote is a vision boarding app. I pay for it. It's like $100 a year, but I absolutely love it. I did a Skillshare course walking you through how to use it. If you are a hardcore vision boarder, or if you are looking for a software to help you visually brainstorm projects, either personal or for your work, check out Milanote, check out my course. Maybe it's something for you. You can find that over at NacheSnow.com/Skillshare, and the course will be listed there for you. So definitely check that out, NacheSnow.com/Skillshare. And also, sharing is caring, my friends. If you love this episode, please share it. Also, Apple Podcasts, please rate me 5 stars. Same with on Spotify. And wherever you're listening, please subscribe, my friends. And listeners, leave us a message on SpeakPipe when you go over to the show notes, NacheSnow.com/175. You'll see a big old microphone. Click on that microphone and leave us a message. Say hello. Ask us a question. I'll play the message on air, my friends.
I
So
love it when they
please.
do it. I love it when people call in and leave us questions,
Yes, I
comments.
did answered Amanda's question on newsletters a couple of episodes ago. I loved it. And she was like, thank you so much. It was so helpful. Please leave us a message, folks. So what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about physical wellness, my friends. Physical wellness. A few seasons ago, we began talking about the 10 dimensions of wellness that include career, creative, digital, emotional, environmental, financial, intellectual, physical, social, and spiritual. We have already done social, which is episode 151. We've done creative, which is episode 155. We've done financial wellness, episode 157. I also have a separate article, and it's all about finances, and you can find that at NacheSnow.com/finance. But between that episode on 157 and the article, regardless of where you are in your financial journey, there is information for you. There are resources for you. It's so important we as women are on top of our financial game. So no excuses, because we laid out everything you could possibly want to know about in that episode, at least to get you started.
I think that was one of the most comprehensive episodes that we've done together. And plus that blog that you wrote was just so detailed. It was super long. I know you had fun writing it because I know talking about money is your favorite thing to do ever. So listen to that episode and then go back and read that article and change your life.
Yes, change your life, my friends. And then we did a digital wellness episode, which is episode 170. And as I say the episodes, remember you can go to the show notes just by doing NacheSnow.com/that episode number, and it'll pop right up. I will also have links in the show notes. Okay, so today we are going to do physical wellness. A lot of people define physical wellness differently. I'm going to take from Northwestern in the definition they use. They define it as physical wellness consists of recognizing the need for physical activity, healthy foods, and sleep, as well as preventing illness and injury or managing chronic health conditions. So what do you think of that definition?
I think the definition is pretty much comprehensive. I think it's so important to take care of your body through healthy habits like exercise, proper nutrition, and especially getting enough sleep. I know we talked about sleep a while back, but I've been trying to do better with my sleep. I've been trying to work on doing exercise. I started this exercise program at Norfolk State. They partner with EVMS. It's interesting because they're studying women over 40 and the effects of exercise on their body. It's not a weight loss thing, it's just literally exercise. And I will say that I'm so happy I joined it 8 weeks before I came to your house because when I went to visit, instead of the 1 mile walk that I had planned for us to have, and Shay's like, "Oh, just get dressed. We're just gonna walk around." And I specifically requested a 1 mile walk, and I think we probably walked 7 or 8. So on the hottest day of the year. But
Oh, so hot.
I was fit. I was ready because I had been working consciously on my cardiovascular health, and I was so thankful for that.
Even though she did give me the stink eye, folks,
Oh
a
yeah,
few
the whole time.
times.
It's because Nache is about 8 feet tall, and I am above average height, I would say.
Like 3 feet.
So her legs come up to my ears. So for every step that she took, I had to take 5. You do the math. I was very happy that I had been actively exercising because I wouldn't have made it otherwise.
But you made it. I was very proud of her. We walked like 4 miles
You say 4,
ish.
I say I'm still walking.
But it's really important. I found this article from the Harvard Business Review, and it talked about considering the following cognitive benefits, all of which we can expect as a result of incorporating regular exercise into our routine, to include improved concentration, sharper memory, faster learning, prolonged mental stamina, enhanced creativity, and lower stress. And so there are studies that have been done that are linked to exercise, helping with all of these things. And I must say, I'm not really a physical fitness type of person. I'm a little lazy, but when I am consistent with exercising, like walking, I do feel better. I have more energy. My memory is better. When it comes to creativity, it is more enhanced. So, by actually getting sleep and incorporating that physical activity, we do become a better version of ourselves.
Yeah. I don't have any studies to back any of this up. So take this with a grain of salt. But I also feel like it's important for us, for you and I, especially since we're over 40, but for people to start developing habits of things that they enjoy doing. Like when I
Mm,
was younger, I would look at exercise as a punishment. Like, oh, I got to go to the gym, blah, 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 blah. I got to run. I hate running, but I would do it because I thought this is what exercise is.
mm-hmm.
But now I want to develop consistent activities that I can continue to do as I continue to get older. So I want to concentrate on things that I enjoy. I like to dance, so I'll take maybe a Zumba class. I
Mm.
enjoy walking, and I especially like being outside, so I will do that. I'm not going to run ever again unless somebody's chasing me because I hate it. So why force myself? Why look at it as something that I'm forcing my body to do as opposed to something that I enjoy?
I love that. I think for me, what exercise looks like is walking. And I love that I'm in this very walkable neighborhood now in DC. And so it makes me want to walk. When I used to live in the suburbs, I didn't want to walk. It just
Hmm.
wasn't inspiring. And at that time, I had a dog too. And I was just like, am I taking a dog
Go into the backyard.
out? But now I am in a place where I do walk. So that definitely is part of my exercise. And this isn't part of necessarily like physical exercise, but a way to stay in motion and not have things stiffen up is I try to stand for 50% of the day. So I always love, and we've talked about this before on episodes, having a sit stand desk. And I make sure that I'm always standing as much as I'm sitting. And to me, that is also part of my physical fitness routine because I'm sitting and I'm standing. And then I also, of course, try to walk about too.
We probably should have done this physical wellness episode using our standing desk, but we're both sitting.
We are. Another aspect, there's another article by Forbes that I'll link to. The name of the article is How Business Owners Can Maintain Their Physical Well-Being and Energy. So we already talked a little bit about exercise, and their number two things was exercise outside every day. So they specifically said outside.
I was just going to mention that as brown skinned people, we tend to have a deficiency, a vitamin D deficiency, which
Mm-hmm.
comes from the sun. So I try to make at least three of my walks outside and enjoying that. There's so many benefits to being outside. Breathing the fresh air, getting the sun. I know you're not supposed to have a whole lot of sun on your skin, but I think 10 minutes a day is the recommended amount. And there's so many other benefits, like you were saying about the concentration. If you're into the woo stuff, it's about grounding and being one with nature. And I like a bit of woo in my life. I feel so much better when I can get out. There's a park nearby in my sleepy little town.
That's how I refer to her area, folks. And she's never letting me forget that.
I'm not going to let you forget it. I'm not. But it's a beautiful park. It has very tall trees. And what I like about it the most is that the path itself is a dirt path. It's easier on your knees if you walk on unsteady paths as opposed to walking on concrete and cement. And plus, the light filters in. So I feel better when I get to do that. Lately, it's been raining and I've been angry a lot. And I think it's because I haven't been outside for my daily walks.
And they say also just the combination of the green space and the exercise is good for you. So just being surrounded by greenery is great. I don't know what they be doing up in Arizona though, because man, that's a lot of red dirt. But on the East Coast and mostly the West Coast, you'll have a lot of green.
That is interesting. I'm wondering, I'm going to have to research that now, right? How people get their energy from the red as opposed to the trees. Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah,
go look that up.
because in Sedona, which was absolutely gorgeous, the mountains were gorgeous, everything, but it was like very, at least compared to DC, right? Very little green space. Yeah.
But I bet they get more days of sunshine than we do on the East Coast,
Oh, I'm sure, for
which
sure.
also affects mood too.
And then another thing that the article mentioned is make sure that you sleep well. And we've talked about this before, but I cannot stress enough how much sleep is important. I won't even bore you guys with the story about how I used to sleep 4 hours a day, but I now have an Apple Watch. I sleep with it every night and I track my sleep. And so, like, even right now, I'm not 100%. And so I actually went to bed early, which is good. But I tracked last night 8 hours and 20 minutes of sleep.
What?
130 minutes of deep sleep, 5 hours and 26 minutes of quality sleep, and I had a 72 BPM. So I was like green across the board. It's like check, check, check. But I track that, right? Because to me, sleep is linked to like lack of sleep is linked to certain health conditions.
Yeah. It's funny because sometimes when you're texting me at 10 o'clock, I'm like, Nache's messing up my sleep schedule. And then you'll stop texting me abruptly. So I'm like, okay, so she's finally gone to sleep because she's trying to get her green light on her app. It's not about me, it's about making sure you get your numbers right on your app. I already know, but it's so funny. I
Like, I'm
know.
done. I'm gone. And then I'll
Yeah,
wake up early in the morning and start texting people at like
right.
6 a.m.
But Nashay, that is one of the biggest challenges I'm having right now is getting that sleep. I think I showed you my sleep app's stats when I visited. You were very disappointed with my output. What tips do you have for making yourself go to sleep?
So everyone is different, right? Some people need sound machines, blue light from, I think it's the blue light from phones and tablets, mess with some people. So everybody, you know your thing, right? But I think that you should figure out what time do you think you could realistically start to shut down and go to sleep, and what time makes the most sense depending on if you need to get up early. If you have a set schedule where you have to get your children to school or you have to like go to work or whatever, and you have to get up every day at, let's say, 6 a.m., then count backwards from there, right? 7 to 8 hours. And then that should be your goal of when you try to go to sleep. And so for me, what I found is I need to be in bed between 10 and 11 p.m. in order for me to get all my hours in. So around that time is when I start to wind down. Even if my brain is still racing, I go to bed, right? I have like this like routine. I go to bed and I know what makes me sleepy. So for me, I put my phone on the charger, but then if I know I'm not really tired, where if I close my eyes, I'm going to not fall immediately asleep, which sometimes I can because I have my body trained so well, I will start watching YouTube videos.
Mm.
And there's something about it as I'm watching Marquez Brownlee or whatever talk about the latest tech gadget or some planner
Nerd.
person going through their planner.
That's how you relax, by listening.
I like sit there and then I'm looking and then my eyes just immediately get heavy, right? Because I'm like, I'm breathing slower, I'm just watching it. And then as soon as I start to feel a little sleepy, I just put it next to my table and just close my eyes. And I think like a few minutes later, I must just be out. But
Does your
that works for me.
does
Some
your
people need to
YouTube
read a book.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Does your YouTube automatically stop, or do you wake up to turn your YouTube off?
I can tell when my eyes are starting to get heavy. And so as soon as I feel like I'm in the total relax mode, I just shut it off. Because what has happened to me is I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. And the iPad has fell on my face. And then I'm like, oh, which is not good because I have the big iPad people. So as soon as I can feel, I can't explain it, but I could feel that my body is starting to get heavy. That's the only way I can explain it. Then I just put it aside. And I'm a back sleeper. So if you're a side sleeper or a stomach sleeper, get in whatever position that you know you're most comfortable. And then you just close your eyes and then I'm asleep.
Middle of the night, mostly contemplating theories of the universe. But anyway,
But you
but
have to
that's
trick your brain, right? You have to tell yourself it's time to go to sleep. Like you need to then concentrate on maybe just one thing, something that's not going to keep you up. But everybody's different.
I'm gonna work on it because I want to get. I've never gotten 100% on my app. Most of the
Mm.
time, I'm in the 70s. I know. I know.
And for some people, it is reading a book that will put them to sleep. But some people are like, that doesn't put me to sleep because I want to go to the next page and the next page. So it actually keeps someone's brain active. Some people like music and maybe set that to a timer. Some people have noise machines. It really just depends on the person. So it's getting to know your body and think about the times where you have been able to fall asleep with no issues and try to replicate that.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Don't be texting me at 10 o'clock because I'm still thinking about whatever you texted me, and I can't go to sleep. You already knocked out.
Gone. Boop. Another thing that they talk about on this article is developing a morning routine. Do you feel like you have a morning routine?
This program that I'm in meets 3 times a week, and I have to be there at 7. So on those days, I definitely have a routine of rolling out of bed and crawling to my gym clothes and then coming home and doing it from there. The days that I don't go, I get up and I try to get. Right now, I'm not teaching right now, so I have a little bit of a looser schedule, but the days that I don't have anything to do in the morning, I will make sure I go and walk before 10. So that kind of gets my day started. Then I come home and have my coffee and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good routine. I feel
Hmm.
like during a work week, my routine is not as defined because basically I wake up, get dressed, and then if I don't have time to make coffee or grab a yogurt, then I go to my local coffee shop. But on the weekends, my routine is more defined in the mornings where I didn't go for a walk this morning because I was under the weather, but normally I would get up, put on my clothes, brush my teeth, put on my clothes, and then go for an hour walk and either get coffee on my walk or come back home and then have coffee and then have breakfast, then shower, and then do a high level task, be it edit a podcast or clean the house.
Yeah, that sounds good. It sounds like though you even during the week you do have a routine, but your routine is just guided by your place of employment. So it's just different.
Because I'm like, okay, I got to be somewhere at a certain time. So it's like,
Hmm.
boop. But then when
Right.
I get off work, maybe that is more of a routine where I either cook my green chef, work on a puzzle. There's a night routine before I need to go to bed at like 10, 11 o'clock.
I'm glad you mentioned the green chef because I was going to swing it to the other part of physical wellness, which is proper nutrition. And I
Hmm.
was going to ask you, how do you make sure that you maintain your nutrition, healthy nutrition, proper nutrition?
Yeah, it's interesting. On the podcast before, I had Jessica Mernan, and I actually also interviewed her on the older podcast that I used to have. And she was very instrumental with me changing my diet because I found her when I was struggling with fibroids. And her whole thing was eating a plant based diet to help her endometriosis. And so when I talked to her, she had like recipes and game plan for eating healthier for endo. And what I did is I modified that a little bit because I'm gonna still eat bacon. I'm sorry. Like Jessica, I hope you're not hearing this.
But I know you eat a lot of salmon. You try to keep things on the light side, aside from the bacon.
Yeah, and so years ago, I did things like I gave up pop. Some people call it cola, some people call it
Soda,
soda,
that's what it's called.
whatevs. But pop, as we called it in the Midwest where I grew up, Chi-Town. And I gave that up because after reading studies on it, I just realized it was doing damage on my stomach and drinking all those Dr. Peppers or whatever else. I'm like, it's not good for my health. A lot of people get diabetes. It also stains your teeth, the brown drinks. Like, it's just not good. And so I haven't drank pop in I don't know, a long time, like a decade. Maybe once or twice if there was like literally nothing else. Maybe I had a sip here and there, but I think it's been over a decade now since I've had pop. I drink like water or kombucha or juice, but that was huge in my transformation. And then with her plant-based diet, even though I didn't give up meats entirely, I significantly reduced the amount of meats I ate. I stick to mostly seafood because I love seafood. And every once in a while, I have bacon, not too much and without nitrates. And then I have a big fiber based diet too. Because
Mm.
even after I had a hysterectomy years ago, I had some stomach issues. And the doctor was like, you need more fiber in your life. And I am big on making sure that I get lots of fiber in my diet every day. So I'm almost like on I'm like a modified Mediterranean diet.
But I think you also allow yourself, I don't think you limit yourself to the point where you're doing anything that's fad like. Like
Mm-mm.
80, I would say 80% of the time you eat pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I still eat desserts, right? I made some cookies the other day. I still go out to eat. I try to be mindful about what I eat, but it's not like if I go to a soul food restaurant, I'm like, oh, I can't have that mac and cheese. It's to me, just having food in moderation and knowing your body. And if I start to feel sluggish or if I don't feel right, then I know that I'm not putting the right things in my body. And so then I'll modify my diet. And then also every night I take vitamin C, vitamin D, one a day for women. I take menopause because I'm mid 40s and that helps with premenopausal stuff. I take a probiotic.
I take a lot of those same things. Not all at night. I feel like the vitamin C keeps me, it has a lot of energy producing products. But since you have no problem going to sleep, it probably doesn't affect you at all.
Mm-mm. And I like to do those at night because what I found is sometimes when I take any vitamins or supplements or medicine in the morning, it upsets my stomach. I
Mm,
have a very finicky stomach, but by the end of the day, I guess because I've had food in my system, it
mhm.
just works better for my body. So that's why I take everything at night.
I think something you said also was really important was that you listen to your body. Like I have a family member, I'm not going to name any names, but she may or may not be my niece.
I hope she's listening.
I hope she's listening because I'm gonna put her on blast. You ever seen somebody who is lactose intolerant but will continue to eat ice cream and drink milk and eat cheese? So I think, but then she's always, her stomach always hurts. Dude, you're lactose intolerant and you know this already. But I'm guilty of the same. I'm not lactose intolerant in any way. And I'm so thankful because cheese is like a food group on it to itself. But my body lately has developed a sensitivity to wheat. I don't think I have a gluten sensitivity necessarily, but anytime I eat flour or wheat, it really upsets my stomach. So I have to be mindful to listen to my body and not put the
Mhm.
things in there. Because if it's giving you outward signals of distress, then we don't know what's really happening on the inside. So I have made a major cutback to eating those things. Unless I go on a 7 mile walk in DC, then I'm gonna go ahead and have some pancakes. But other than that,
I think that is very important. In my 30s, I developed a sensitivity for garlic and onions,
ooh,
which I
wow.
love both of them, and especially onions that are more raw. So, depending on how they're cooked and what they're in, sometimes it can really irritate my stomach. And I'm also lactose intolerant. So, I'm really kind of picky about the foods I eat. And if I decide to do it, I know that I'm taking a risk, right? But even like if I had the taste for ice cream, they have so many good ice creams now that
Mhm.
are lactose free. I
Yeah.
think even Ben and Jerry's has lactose free versions. And then there's one I think it's called Van something that's pretty good. I'll link them in the show notes. But there's always alternatives, right? And Trader Joe's has so many good seasonings, some without garlic, that also will make my eggs taste good, right? So
Mhm.
it's like finding those alternatives instead of eating the things you know will have your stomach in knots for hours. It's just not worth it. It's like, why are we torturing ourselves?
And to that point too, I think we're at a great moment in history. We have a lot of shenanigans going on, but the good things are we have alternatives. We have sleep apps that can tell us how much we've slept. I think all of those things that are happening right now can help us better our physical wellness.
I agree. I agree. One thing that I always say I'm going to get into, and I never do, but I'm curious if you do this, is like any type of meditation, deep breathing, yoga, or anything like that.
Man, I don't think I breathe during the day at all. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. I used to meditate, and I even think on one of the previous podcasts we had, I was very avid about my meditation practice. I told you that I would get out of bed and I would do my meditation, and I would do something creative. Life circumstances happened, and I wasn't able to do that as much. So the reason why it's interesting is I had a yoga client last week. I took pictures of her, and like in between setups, she would do this whole deep breathing thing, and I would realize I hadn't been breathing for the last, I don't know, 10 minutes. I don't know how I survived, but it brought so much peace because then I found myself breathing along with her and I just felt better in my body. So that's something I need to get back into. I want to get back into, not need to, but I want to because I just
Hmm.
felt better when I did, and I know I'm not even breathing now. I don't know how I'm sitting here.
Yeah, I feel like I'll take time to stretch, but not necessarily do 10 minutes of deep breathing. But I will take time to stretch my neck, roll my neck, especially during the day, especially if I'm standing at a desk. Like, even I think you laughed like before the episode, I did like a little stretch.
Yeah.
Right? Because it does do something. Like, I'm a big believer in this superwoman pose. Like before a big meeting, you stand with the superwoman pose for like 5, 10 minutes, take it all in. And I've done that before and it
Me too.
does help. It's
It does.
weird, but it's kind of part of that like meditative breathing routine. But I want to do more and I guess be more thoughtful about or have more of a routine when it comes to that.
I do know that if you're getting started, I think 10 minutes is a little long. If you're brand new to meditation and breathing practices and mindfulness and all that, start with 3 minutes and then build your way up. I had gotten so good that I was at to 20 minutes. I cannot do that right now. I'll be
That's
lucky.
impressive.
It was because I enjoyed it. I had my meditation music going. I burned my candles. I had my oils. Listen, I was full of woo. It was all me. But yeah. But I think I don't want people to get the wrong impression. I think sometimes people hear meditation and they think that you need to set aside a certain number of minutes and it has to be all of the stuff that I just described. But really, it's just about being quiet and taking some deep breaths and being in your body and just being conscious of being aware of your body. I am a person, I don't, this is going to sound, listen, it's going to sound woo, okay? Just deal with it, you guys. I don't often live in my body. I live in my brain.
Mm.
So I'm always thinking, and sometimes the type of person I am, I can neglect my body if I'm not careful because I'm always thinking and not doing. So meditation is really helpful for me because it really connects me back with my body and being in tune, just like we were talking about the foods and all that. How's everything feeling? Am I doing the right thing for my body today? What can I do better? What have I done? So to get there, just start with 3 minutes, work your way up to five, work your way up to seven, 2 minute increments until you can get to that sustained practice where it feels good.
I agree with that. And it's interesting. I remember one of my good friends used to make fun of me because she just was like, Nache, you are just so in tune with yourself. For those who know me, know I'm not like a really girly girl, so I'm not gonna get a mani and pedi. You're not gonna see me wearing makeup. I'm very hippie granola.
Grandma,
And I love it. It's just me. Oh God, I'm choking.
your physical wellness is not displaying properly.
Oh my God. That's because if you guys are looking at this on video, it's the face Lakay is making. But what I will say is that even though I don't meditate or anything like that, like purposely, unless I'm just like, I need to breathe. But I am very, like you said, you're in your head. I'm like in my body. So I notice like if there's a certain time of the month where my fingernails grow. And it was funny because my friend Neva, I remember her, this was like years ago before I had the hysterectomy because I don't have to worry about a cycle anymore. Not that I'm bragging. But I would tell her, I'm like, oh, every time I'm on my cycle or about to start, my fingernails grow longer. And she was like, girl, you are crazy. And then she came back to me a month later and she's like, mine do too. And I was like, yeah, it's something about our hormones in our body where something is doing something to make the nails grow. It's just, but I noticed it because I know my body. And I remember even with my gynecologist, like if something, especially during the fibroid days, I would be like, hey, I'm coming here because I feel blah, 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 whatever. And she'd be like, wow. She was like impressed how well I knew my body. And so if my body does feel a certain way, like I notice my knees are aching or I'm like, oh, my stomach seems like it's like a little bloated. Like I'm very conscious about just my body and the changes from my teeth to my knees to just if I feel stiff. And so I think that's a really important because the faster that we can identify that something's not right, the faster we could go to the doctor and be like, hey, something's wrong. Or maybe just the faster we could change our diet because we know something's not right. Or start to exercise because we know we're feeling stiff. But you can make conscious choices based on however you're feeling, if that makes sense.
It does. The person I was doing the pictures of, the yoga lady, she does more than yoga. She's very into all of those intuitive things. And she was even describing how for women, we go through certain times of the month where we are more, it's going to also sound crazy, but just go with me, where we're more attractive.
Mm.
So maybe because of our cycle, maybe we have more hormones that will fill in our skin and reduce our acne, reduce our bloating or whatever. So she was like, no, we can't take pictures this week because I'm not going to be at my best. I was like, oh my gosh, this is very interesting. I
It
love
is.
hearing about it.
I believe that too because especially when I'm on my cycle, not so much more because my hormones and stuff are starting to like level out or whatever, but there were certain parts of the month where I noticed like my skin had more of a glow, right? But because I don't have to worry about that no more, my skin glows more during the month now.
So, do you still, now that you have a menstrual flow? I don't know, you might cut this out. But now that you still have a menstrual flow, but do you still have a cycle? I know you track the moon cycle, but do
Hmm.
you also, does your body still experience a natural ebb and flow now that you no longer have that?
I do, but that is because I had a partial hysterectomy, so my
Ah.
ovaries were left in, and I did that so I wouldn't go immediately into menopause. And I also did it because they say it like helps regulate whatever. And so because of that, there are like times of the month where something does happen. I even talked to my gynecologist about it, and she said it's because you left your ovaries in, but it's not. It's almost like a cycle, but not a cycle. Like I could feel like my body just doesn't feel the same, and it's not a full cycle, so I don't feel terrible. But I do notice that there is just a change in my body. It's hard to explain.
No, I think that makes sense. And I know it's not a topic we would normally cover on the podcast, but I also feel like people don't talk about this. So nobody talks about what happens when you don't have a cycle anymore. I think Oprah is doing something really, she's talking about it a lot more. I think there's a program she has about menopause and premenopause and all that stuff. But other than that, I never really heard about anybody even discussing the topic. So thank you for sharing that.
No, and I have an older episode. Like, you guys go on to shaysnow.com and search hysterectomy. Like, I talk about it a little bit because I think it's important for us as women to talk about it. And the reason why I did, because that's like a major surgery. So for me, I'm not going to get any major surgery done to my body unless I absolutely need it. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? But my fibroids were like apples and oranges, and it was causing all kind of pain and pushing stuff where it shouldn't be. So it was something I needed in order to have like good quality of life, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, so no, I think it's important that we talk about it because we as women, we go through a lot of things, and it's like we're made to think that we shouldn't talk about it. Like those things should be kept quiet. And it's just like, no, this is something we're going through. And if we can learn from other women, why not? And so it's funny, the menopause supplements I told you, those my mom found out from Oprah, of course,
Oh, okay.
because my mom's an Oprah fan. And
As we all
so
should be.
I've been taking them for like 3 months because what I noticed is my memory was like not as sharp as it used to be. And I went to the doctor and all my levels were fine. And she was like, girl, you just getting older and your hormones are whack and you're probably a little premenopausal. And so the menopause is supposed to help with those levels. And so I think it's been helping a little bit. I don't know. I wouldn't say go out and get them now, but I'm still taking them because I do feel like maybe they're making a little bit of a difference. So stay tuned.
I'd be interested to hear. I think with most vitamins, you don't really notice how they're affecting you until you're not taking them.
So, but I feel like because I've been able to survive hot weather, I feel
Right.
like my random sometimes flashes are a little less. Like I would get flashes a little bit at night, not a lot, but you can do get when you're premenopausal, but mine aren't that bad anymore. Is it the menopause? Maybe. I don't know. I'll link them in the show notes if somebody wants to try them, but yeah, my mom bought me like my first two bottles. She's like, "Here, honey, Oprah says take
I
these."
love it.
And I
I love it.
searched it and Googled it and read the reviews on it, and I was like, "Okay, I'll try it."
Oprah did her research.
I hope
So
so. Okay, so this is perfect. Just to wrap up before we also wanted to do a segment where we talk about a couple of things in the last couple of months that we purchased or we found was very useful, and we want to just share it with you. So, as we just wrap up this health segment, I just want you guys to walk away with sleeping better, getting physical exercise, and making sure that you're taking care of your mental health, which we didn't even really dig into, is super important for you as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a sister, a mother, a friend, a aunt. Like, we have to take care of ourselves. And by doing that, it really does make us sharper. It enhances creativity. It keeps us healthier. It gives us more energy. There's just so many benefits. I'm going to link an article from entrepreneur.com, Forbes, and the Harvard Business Review just for you guys to take a look at. But we just wanted to bring awareness to this particular wellness area because we think that it's important too.
Yeah, and one more thing I meant to mention earlier is that as a curvy girl that I am, I wanted to make sure to mention that physical wellness for me has changed from being about how I look to others to how I feel about my not not how I feel about my body, but how I feel in my body. So I
Mm-hmm.
want your listeners to take away, we're not suggesting anybody has to be a certain size or look a certain way. Anybody can benefit from taking a walk. It doesn't matter what shape, age, or size, or any of that stuff. We can all benefit by doing something every single day or anytime we get. It doesn't have to be a long, hour-long walk. If you do 10 minutes a day, that's better than doing zero a day. And it was hard for me, but try to get out of the exercising because you hate your body and changing it to exercising because you love your body.
Yeah, it's like exercising to feel good. I agree. Because my mom is on that kick too. She's like late 60s right now, and she went hiking with me and Connie. She didn't think she was going to make it. We didn't think she was going to make it either. But she made
You know what? You
it.
remind me. I don't know if anybody follows Oprah on her Instagram, but she's always dragging Gail off to do these long hikes. You are the Oprah to all of our Gail, okay? Gail be coming back looking like,
Gil be like, with her little walking stick.
yeah, I'm gonna bring walking sticks next time I come to visit you.
I'd be like, come on, let's go. Let's go.
Got your mama out there with the
Out
coyotes.
there, 100-degree weather. Like, you got your water bottle? Let's go. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. But okay, so we're gonna wrap this episode up and we're gonna go back and forth and let us know if you guys like this segment. But we're gonna just talk about some finds for this summer that we're excited about. And so, Lakay, I'll have you go first.
Oh, I knew you were gonna do that. But this might be on both of our lists, but I'm gonna talk about the Spice Sweets.
Mm.
Because if you don't know, it's a Black-owned, woman-owned brand in DC. They have a physical location, and I guess she just has a bunch of spices. But I've been wanting to go there for a very long time. I've been following her on Instagram. I'm following the owner on Instagram for a long time. I really like what she's doing with making business opportunities for other Black women in DC. There were some things that I think small challenges with the space, but I really enjoyed going there just to see how it was laid out, and I wanted to be supportive of her business mission. And I bought some spice and we've used it. I loved it. So yeah, I think that was pretty good. I bought oh, I forgot what it is because none of the spices, it's not anything that you're going to buy in the regular store. It's not like garlic salt. It's like Himalayan, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But I used it and I liked it. You got some spice too. What did you get? You didn't get spice. You got honey or something?
I got strawberry honey and I got a sugar. I forgot what the flavor was. But the strawberry honey is good. Like you can actually taste the strawberry in it. And I put it on top of biscuits and everything. It's good. And then the sugar that I got, I put it on top of my whipped cream that I put on top of coffee because whipped cream goes on everything. And it was good. And I put it on
Lactose
top of
intolerant, but whipped cream goes on everything.
everything, everything. But whipped cream won't mess with my stomach like ice cream will.
I understand. I did.
Yeah, no, I was glad that me, you, and Tia were able to get out there right before the storm.
Oh yeah, that was the day the storm knocked out power and all
Yes.
kinds of stuff. Trees were down.
It's crazy. Okay, so my first thing that I want to mention is I purchased a puzzle board.
I missed my puzzle. Are you finished yet? How'd you do?
I'm not finished yet.
So we're talking about this gigantic 1,000 piece puzzle that Nache has on her dining room table. And when I got there, I was like, I don't want to do no stupid puzzle. This is for grannies. But I sat down there for hours
Doing the
staring,
puzzle. And I
staring
did
at the
I
little
have
yellow
the
pieces.
puzzle board here when you were here or was it just the
No,
paper?
It was
Oh,
just
I just had it on the brown paper when you were here.
okay. So go ahead, talk about your puzzle board. I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was just excited about all the green and white pieces and separating the yellow pieces. And I just want to know if you got the pasta together. I've been thinking about it a lot.
So I've been slacking on the puzzle. I've been slacking on the puzzle. That's just because I have really no excuse. I mean, my niece was here last weekend, so I'm gonna blame her. But
Yeah,
I
that's
got
fine.
this amazing puzzle board that allows you, it helps you arrange the pieces. It has like these little drawers on the side. And if you need to move the puzzle out of the way in order to use the table, it's just amazing. And so LaKay was a huge help because she was able to do a good section of the puzzle and organize the pieces. And then after I finished this puzzle, I purchased another puzzle from a small business artist, and I'll link it in the show notes. So I'm really excited because I decided to do puzzles more because it goes to that whole memory thing and it sharpens the brain. There's all kind of puzzle research out there about how it not only helps with memory, but it stimulates the brain in different ways. And so I want to be like my great grandmother who used to always work on puzzles. And she lived to be like 90 something, 5, 7, 8.
Nice.
And so I was like, okay, maybe there's something there I know about. Maybe I need to be working on some puzzles.
Yeah, people used to do crossword puzzles. Those used to be
Yeah.
big. What's that? What was that numbers thing that people used to do a lot?
Oh, Sudoku,
Yeah,
something. I know I said it wrong. Yes. I never
I
got
can't say
into
it either.
that.
Me either. But I do think I did not think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, because you were like, what are you, a granny? Why you got this puzzle out here? Who does puzzles? Puzzles? And then all of a sudden, who do I see working on the puzzle?
I was like, shh,
LaKay.
stop talking to me. I've got to finish this section.
But I will link to my new puzzle board with drawers that I got off of Amazon. I really like it. It looks good on my table. Maybe I'll even put a picture in the show notes, but I thought it was fantastic.
Where's your favorite place to buy puzzles? Because now I have to get one.
I don't really have a favorite place. Like if I'm in like one of my boutique stores, if they have a puzzle, I'll usually get it because I need the picture to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I will put the puzzles I've worked on some in the show notes. Like there's one by John Darien.
Is that the
For the
butterfly one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have his. I had one from an artist that I follow online, Nicole Crowder, actually, who I've interviewed. She's done a puzzle. And another person I interviewed was Kaylin, and she's from Jiggy. And she has it where you could buy the puzzles, and there's glue that comes with the puzzle. So then you could frame it, which is pretty cool. And I have that framed at work, which is awesome. And then the other artist, I think she's Somerset. I can't remember, but I'll put it in the show notes. And I have a puzzle from her. So I get them from different places. I just want them to be beautiful art. So then I'm inspired to actually work on it. So yes, LaKay, I need you to get a puzzle.
I'm going to get one.
Okay, so what's your second thing?
The next one I want to talk about is this organization is relatively new, but as I was trying to get more networking experience to talk about my photography locally, there's this organization called Diverse Hampton Roads, and networking in general gives me the heebie-jeebies. I like talking to students, I like talking to groups of people and clients, but the idea of networking was always very off-putting to me. But what I like about this specific organization, and they're just coming off the ground, and I like that it's smaller because I feel like you can create more in-depth relationships. But the networking event that I went to, we took a group walk to the park, then we sat down. They had this little area that was out by the water, and we went around. They had that game called Questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I felt like now I really actually know these business owners as opposed to just shaking hands. Here's my card. Here's my card. So I
Yeah.
think the organizer was super smart to take it out of the realms of happy hours and all that stuff where people can feel uncomfortable. And I didn't know any of the people there. I knew one person there, but I didn't know most of the people there. But I felt like now I actually have a deeper connection than a standard networking event. So kudos to her.
I think that's super important because we've talked about how networking events are sometimes a waste of time because everybody is just talking to the people they know or just standing by themselves and no one's talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Curious, when they did the questions, how did that dynamic work? Like, did they go around the room? Did they pair you up with someone and you each asked each other a question and then you moved to the next person? What did that look like?
It was a smaller group. So let's say it was about 12 of us. So we
Mm-hmm.
were literally sitting outside under a tree. It was very atypical when it comes to business networking. But there was the box, and whoever had the box would pick the question, and you could answer the question. And then if people around wanted to answer the question, they could. So I don't
Mm.
know that it would work with a group of 50. Maybe you could break it up into smaller groups. But I just love that because everything was in business, but it was, oh, now I can communicate with this person. Now I have something to ask them about. They talked about their kids. If one of the questions was about kids, I could say, oh, hey, you have a daughter. I have a daughter. Let's talk about that. And we have a
Mm.
connection as opposed to what can you do for my business? How can you make me money? Because that's what goes on in your brain when you're at a networking event. You're looking at everybody like little dollar signs. But
Right.
now, so I really enjoyed that. So I think the next one is going to be in September. I don't know what they're going to do for that, but I'm looking forward to it already.
Nice. No, that sounds awesome. So my next one again is a physical item. And it is something that I'm really excited about and it's a magnetic hook. And for those of you guys who aren't in a big city, if you're in the city, then you have like security doors, which are metal. And you don't have like that regular door where you could just put a hook on the top of it in order to hang like one of those fancy wreaths. And so I was like, how am I going to put a wreath on my door for Halloween and the fall and for the holidays? And I went on TikTok. And TikTok was like, get a magnetic hook. And I was like, you delivered again, TikTok. And I ended up ordering two magnetic hooks, one for the front and the back of the house. And what I plan to do is go to Michael's and maybe Joann's to get some fabric, depending on what the design is, and making a wreath for the fall. So my goal is to have a wreath created by October,
Why
maybe
fabric?
September.
Why fabric?
So I've saved a bunch of different types of wreaths,
Mm.
and some of the wreaths might have a little fabric bow at the bottom,
Oh,
or they might have like where the fabric is woven into, like in a design, into the little greenery that goes into it. So it just depends. And I've seen some wreaths where they're all fabric and it's bunched together. So it just depends.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm wondering if your wreath is going to be super clean and geometric, or if it's going to be like granny with lace and doilies and dried flowers.
Never know.
Never
Never
know.
know. But whatever I create, it's going to have to be able to survive the elements because I don't have like
Mm.
awning or anything above the door. So when it rains, which is like monsoon type weather in DC lately, whatever, it needs to be able to survive. So I'm really trying to think through what it's going to look like. But I'm excited. Okay, so what's your third thing? Your last thing?
So I've been wearing basic earrings for a long time because I like to keep earrings in my ear, but I love big fancy earrings. The bigger the better. I do have a short neck, but I love a fancy earring. I found this company called Aloduri, I think it's called. I met her at a pop-up and she makes this handcrafted, all of her jewelry is nice, but I'm into earrings.
Mm.
It's spelled ALODEURI.com. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I absolutely love her work. And yeah, that's one of the ones. So
I'll put her in the show notes. Yeah.
I would buy every pair of earrings she makes if I could. And I would change my earrings every single day. Ooh, look what I have. Love a
So
good earring.
my last one, so you guys have to remember I just bought a house last year, so I'm on a home kick. Everything that brings me joy right now is related to my house. And the last thing, I actually found out about it from the Beautiful Mess podcast, the Beautiful Mess girls. and it's a box cutter.
Oh boy.
But it's
I
like
did
a
not expect that.
fancy little box cutter. Not fancy, like where it's like fancy, but it doesn't have a blade. Instead, it has like this.
Where is it? Let's see this box cutter.
For those of you guys that
What in the world
are listening, it's by the company, I guess, is called Slice, and it's perfect for people who are clumsy or
not saying any
tend to
names.
do things like cut themselves accidentally, because the blade is not a blade, it's plastic. And so even if you stick yourself, you're not, I mean, it's sharp, but you're not going to cut yourself. But when you get your packages in the mail
It's
and
just
all the
sharp enough.
boxes, it's sharp enough where it'll cut through the tape and help you break down stuff. And it's just great.
I love the design. It has this ergonomic handle and it looks very modern.
Doesn't it? I wish it was green. It's orange.
I know.
And then you see how, okay, so for those who can see us on YouTube, the blade isn't that long. It's maybe a half an inch, if anything, sticks out. But you could get other sizes. Like if I needed something that was a little bit longer, I think I could switch this out with a different blade.
Oh.
But
also, like metal blades tend to dull really easily, so you have to replace them, and
yeah,
nobody ever does, so you end up throwing away your box cutter.
Yeah, but I've had this like 2-3 months, and I just be slicing, and I love it. So I'll link this in the show notes.
It didn't disappoint. I thought I was going to hate it. I thought it was going to be covered in flowers.
But no, it's industrial looking, but very Swedish, like Swedish design, right?
You can hang it on a hook. Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Super cute. Thank you, A Beautiful Mess girls. You rock. I've been influenced
2 times. The socials have really got you out there spending your hard-earned cash.
They do, but let me tell you, I use them. It's definitely things that I'm like, I need that. Yeah, this has been fantastic. I have it right in my kitchen drawer, and I use it every week.
Which also means you get a lot of packages.
You ain't gonna say anything. The Green Chef.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll give you that.
All right. That wraps it up, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this segment, and hopefully you will create a plan in order to improve your physical wellness. Remember, you can find Nache over at nacheumba.com. She will travel for all of your photography needs. But if
don't make me walk, though.
Don't make her walk. But if you happen to be in Norfolk, around Norfolk, Virginia, that's probably that's your area, right? Norfolk, you would
Virginia
say,
Beach.
Instead of Virginia Beach or that sleepy little town of
gosh.
They gonna come at me. And of course, if you want all the things that we discussed in this episode, hit me up over at nachesnow.com/175, and all the links that Nache and I mentioned will be over there, along with that speak pipe, so you can leave us a message. And remember, guys, sharing is caring. Please share this episode. And please rate me 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And subscribe, my friends. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye. This is my personal recordings, not for social. Maybe.
She got me out here. I've been walking for 8 miles now. It's 102 degrees. And
I don't know if she's
I ain't never coming back. Ain't never coming back.
She's coming back.
No. Take a hovercraft next time.
She'll just have to prep. She'll have to prep.